the Ask Me Anything for November 26, 2020. And the top rated question, I mean, again, since depending upon where you are in the world, it's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving related. It's from Jared P. Favorite Thanksgiving side dish and dessert counts. This was a very easy one for me. Pumpkin bread. Hands down, pumpkin bread. I'm a pumpkin bread fanatic. I would eat it far more regularly than the holiday schedule allows. And so, yes, without question, that's my number one there. And the sad truth is, I don't think we have any today. It's going to drive me a little bonkers now that I said that. I'm going to have to, I don't know, make some. Okay, second question was from Ariel P. Thoughts on alternate options when the workout has outside elements such as shuttle sprints, farmer's carry, etc., especially, during the winter months. Okay, good question. So we'll cover a couple things here. In general, okay, so this is just a broad brush. This is kind of the give a person a fish or teach them to fish. And in general, I'm a fan of teaching people to fish because that just serves you better in the long run, even though giving you the answer is the short-term solution. But anyway, what I would do is I would think about, let's take the shuttle sprints or 400-meter run or the farmer's carry, whatever that thing is that normally you would do outside. Think about the time domain first and foremost. So if you were going to do a 100-meter farmer's carry, well, what I would do, I would get a little list going. I would get outside, I would mark out 100 meters, do that on some day that's not snowing or raining, in the winter, wherever you are, and walk either with a farmer's carry, with some dumbbells or kettlebells in your hand, or just walk at a casual, slow pace so you get a good metric. Cover 100 meters and note that time. And now you have a time that if you've got 100 meters, you can get 50, you can get 75, you can get 200, right? You have a metric. And when farmer's carries come up in a workout, whatever the distance is, you can go back, reference that time, and then in your apartment or garage or whatever that you don't want to go outside, grab that pair of dumbbells, that pair of kettlebells, grab a bumper plate in each hand, whatever it is, and just do a march in place, like a high knee march in place, little side to side deal, and for the time domain. And that, although not perfect, right, because any substitution is exactly that. It's a substitution, it's a modification. So by its very nature, it is not a perfect replication of the original movement. But what it will be is close enough, and it will be good enough to get you fit and get you through the day and through the bad weather and whatever it happens to be. And same deal if it's a shuttle sprint or if it's a 400-meter run. If it's a 200-meter run, maybe a 200-meter shuttle sprint, 50 out, 50 back, 50 out, 50 back, depending upon whether you're faster or slower, and depending upon whether it's the first round in the workout or one of the later rounds when fatigue has caught up with you. That could be anything from for most people, some people are faster or slower, but for most people, that could be a 45 second endeavor, or it could be a 60-second endeavor. Could even be a little bit more than a 60-second endeavor. Just kind of depends on where you fall on that. So you could take that time domain, let's just call it 55 seconds. And for 55 seconds, you could do high knees, running in place in your garage or whatnot. In high knees, by the way, again, getting your knees, I would say, above waist level. Don't have to knee yourself in the chest, but just basically just above waist height, are so challenging. If you try to do 1 minute of high knees, you will wish that you had the ability to go outdoors and run. Because when you're just traditionally running, you don't get your knees that high. So if you do embrace high knees for set time domains, you can get plenty of a challenge in your garage, apartment, wherever it happens to be, without heading outside. So again, figure out the time domain and then go ahead and embrace that particular time domain with a movement such as the high knees. You could also do some other things for that minute. Let's say you're doing a 400-meter run in a workout and didn't want to go outside, again, depending upon the runner that you are and the round that it is, the 400-meter run could be a minute 45 sort of endeavor, could be a 2-minute and 15-second endeavor or more. So let's go right down the middle and say 2 minutes, right, per 400. 2 minutes of high knees is like a death sentence. Again, you'll wish that you could go outside and run. You could do 2 minutes of, what am I trying to say here? 2 minutes of jumping jacks will not shortchange you. If you haven't done 2 minutes of jumping jacks in a while, you will be amazed at how long 2 minutes is, how fatigued you are, and how tough just regular old high school gym class jumping jacks are. So you could do that. You could do single unders, with the jump rope. The only thing is, depending upon your tightness of your calves, or if you have grouchy Achilles or things like that, if you're doing a multi-round workout and you're subbing in something like single unders or double unders, if you're doing a 3-round workout, you're doing 2 minutes of that endeavor 3 times. Well, you're going to do 6 minutes of jumping rope, which is a very fair amount of jumping rope. So that might, aggravate something which is not ready to such an undertaking. So I would just be cautious with that. You could do mountain climbers. There's a whole variety of things that you could do for sure. Everyone's go-to is, of course, the burpee. And now, depending upon what we did the day previous in training, and depending upon what's coming up the next day in training, absolutely you could throw the burpee in there for whatever that particular time domain happens to be. 2 minutes of burpees at a moderate pace will not shortchange you. You'll be good to go. So those would be some of the things I would pop into my head right off the bat. And the obvious answer should be, if you are fortunate enough to have a rower or an air bike or some sort of bike, in your garage or apartment, then obviously instead of heading outside for that shuttle sprint for that run, you could hop on the bike and rower and just replicate it right there. So let's see, I think that was most of the stuff that I wanted to cover on that. Yes, so that's it. There was also, and I'm not advocating that you go outside, if there's ice on the ground, you're going to slip and fall. We don't, safety first, right? Safety first. There was some hysterical comment that was left as some playful banter back and forth in the comments in the private Facebook group months ago, and it gets referenced every now and then. I don't want to misquote who the people are, so I run the risk of doing that, but I'm going to take a stab in the dark, and I'm sorry if I misquote who the people are, because I want to give credit where it is due, because it's just so hysterical. Somebody wasn't going to go outside for part of the run because it was raining, and I almost feel like it was one of our quite capable athletes, and then I think somebody like either Rick H. or John W. kind of left a comment there who said, "You won't melt if you head out in the rain. Chances are you will not melt. So it's okay. You can go out in the rain," which I got a chuckle out of. Now, it was, tongue-in-cheek and fun. They weren't just being jerks. But yeah, if you can head out there and go for the run, great. But if not, and it just doesn't work out for whatever reason, it's pitch black at night, ice in the roads, raining, don't do that. You can find something else to do, and you will be, completely good to go. Let's see here. Rick's got his hand up, so maybe it was Rick. Okay, next question we have here from Eric H. Eric H. If you could have any 3 people in history, dead or alive, over for a dinner party, what 3 people would you choose? Okay, all right. I feel like this is a question I would find in like my sociology class or something, but it's fair. Here we go. My just cherished answer would be that I would have my grandfather, who's no longer with us, over. Just the man, like the man that I would try to be, the one that I wish was still around so I could pick his brain on life and lessons and, am I meeting the mark or missing the mark, or how could I improve? He was just fantastic. So that's the short answer right there, the real honest from the heart answer. The fun answer for maybe guest number 2 would be Larry David, the co-creator of Seinfeld, and was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, stand-up comedian, writer, the whole nine yards. I very much enjoy his humor, incredibly. I enjoy how socially awkward he is, incredibly. And I think some comedians are absolute geniuses, and I don't use that term lightly, like legitimate geniuses with their ability to induce laughter into an audience of strangers, and the ability to write sitcoms that are hysterical. I'm incredibly impressed with people that can do that, and I think he is in a league of his own, and I'd love to pick his brain. And then my final choice, which is from an educational standpoint as well, I don't know who the exact person would be. Okay, so I'm sorry on that. I'd have to do a lot more research. But it would be a former U.S. president, I don't know which one, or some other world leader. I'd have to do my homework. But I'm also equally fascinated with individuals who are in a position of great responsibility and great importance with real issues, massive worldwide issues of global importance, and that no matter what decision you make, chances are half of your nation will love you and half of your nation will hate you, and that's always how it's going to be. And you have to somehow tune that out and tune your own biases out and try to do what is the right thing for everyone as a country or a nation, regardless of your personal feelings, and be an actual true leader. And I'm sure that has amazing highs and amazing lows. And this also just is encapsulated under the bucket of problem solving. I'm a fan of problem solving. Like, I feel this should not be taken as a pessimistic description, but life sometimes can just be a series of problems. Problems are often also opportunities, and life will always present you problems. Every day you'll be faced with problems, and your ability to handle those problems, to analyze them, and to overcome them, ideally in as much of a clear and rational manner, without stressing yourself out and stressing out your friends and family and not making them into something that they're not, will largely dictate the sort of life that you have. I think, my personal opinion, some people feel like, well, if I just didn't have any problems, or when the day comes that I don't have any problems anymore, that's going to be my key to happiness, that happiness is not having problems. And I think if that is your outlook, you're going to live an unhappy life, because I don't ever see problems stopping. So what I think is a better avenue is become really good and really talented at handling problems and solving problems, and then that will lead to a very wonderful life for you and for anyone else that you have influence over. So that's my other question there. So it'd be some sort of world leader to pick the brain and hopefully become better at that, because I feel like that's a superpower. Okay, Colin J. Colin, where is your question here, my friend? Where is it? Colin, okay, here we go. All right. How do you program the workouts so that the next day tends to alleviate a lot of the stiffness or soreness from the previous day? I find that I'm better off pushing through when I'm a bit sore or stiff, as I end up feeling better on the other side. So first of all, absolutely. I think a lot of people would feel the same way, that you walk into the gym maybe a little stiff or sore, you get your warm-up done, you get yourself through the workout, and lo and behold, you feel better after you've moved a bit. So I think that's not uncommon. But the first part of your question, how do you program the workouts so that the next day tends to alleviate a lot of the stiffness or soreness from a previous day? I do not focus on that. Do not focus on it. Period. End of story. And it would be largely impossible to do. Some people just react differently to workouts, etc., etc. Even if it's a workout that overwhelmingly would tax the glutes and hamstrings, maybe you get some midline in there. Well, Person B's midline isn't quite as strong as person A, so their abs are destroyed. Person A's isn't. They took more breaks, so their legs aren't quite as. So you just can't. That's not what's done. So the workouts are programmed. The workouts are programmed with the primary focus, and again, programming is always such a huge rabbit hole, right? So as many things are, until we can all get together and just chat for 3 hours over a cup of coffee. It's a bit of an oversimplification, but the workouts are programmed to be in this beautiful symphony, taking into account time domains, rep schemes, loadings, then what have we done in one workout compared to another, such as did we pull from the ground, did we go overhead, did we go below parallel, what were the gymnastics movements and in what direction were we pushing or pulling with those things, what was the midline work, were we hinging at the hip, etc., etc., etc. And all of those things in conjunction with rep ranges, loadings, blah, 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 are taken into account to ideally have this beautiful symphony where you cover all of your bases to develop this well-rounded athlete that can go short, medium, and long, light, medium, and heavy, etc., etc., and to do so in a way that just stresses the athlete. You've got to stress the system, right? Because that's where the adaptation happens. That just stresses the athlete enough to get the adaptation, doesn't stress them so much that now you put them in a hole for recovery, but yet doesn't work them too little, because if you work them too little, you're also not going to get the recovery. So it's this very delicate, beautiful, complicated dance that we're continually trying to do. And that is the overwhelming majority of what you focus on when you program, not necessarily, well, let me program a workout that's going to help alleviate some soreness. The alleviation of some soreness, to a large degree, would ideally take place each day after the workout when you're doing your cool down and your stretching or your mobility for that day, which is such an easy thing to blow off, but such a critically important component to how you will feel the next day or two when you walk into the gym. And so, if you can get on that bike or the rower or a jog or whatever for an easy 5, 10, 15 minutes, it just kind of let your body come back down to that homeostasis. And then in that, you can also play with some strategies to help alleviate some soreness. So for example, on Tuesday's workout that had the back squats in it, right, the heavy day, the high heart rate, after I finished that workout, which served me a large slice of humble pie, by the way, I was on the bike for 10 minutes, and every minute or two on the bike, like every 2 minutes or so, I would hop off and I would just do 10 slow air squats. Hop back on the bike for 2 casual minutes, hop off for 10 slow air squats. And so into my recovery, I worked in a little bit of what the movement was in the workout that I knew was going to cause me the most fatigue, stiffness, soreness, if you will, the following day, to kind of help flush everything out of the system a little bit. And you can play that same game with whether you pulled from overhead, whether you pushed, whatever it happened to be, etc., etc. So doing that, and then once you finish with that, getting in your nice stretching, and then also the critical components of hydration, nutrition, and plenty of sleep. And if you've done your recovery, you've done your stretching, you've got yourself a clean diet, and you're getting ample sleep, and you're not overtraining, or under recovering, however you want to phrase that, you're setting yourself up in the best possible position to not feel just stiff as a board and like a zombie, the next day when you walk into the gym. And depending upon where you are, that does happen every now and then, but depending upon where you are, there could be the possibility that if you do feel like a truck absolutely hits you, something potentially should have been modified or scaled down a little bit the day before so that you got a nice appropriate dose, but not just a truck hit you sort of a dose. But then there's also a bit of a learning curve for each athlete in where that beautiful sweet spot is as well. And that's all part of the game. And that's also a great place to use your notes section on the Beyond the Whiteboard app in case you do feel like, okay, I did the workout, be it prescribed or modified, but here's a note when this thing circles back. I should have done fill in the blank, whatever it happens to be. And getting back to the programming, and the programming to ideally let the athlete work at an appropriate intensity and pace as frequently as possible while giving them enough time to recover. If we look back to the first 3 workouts of this week, on Monday we had a very short one, short and explosive, right, with Isabel. So ground to overhead, 135 or 95 is the prescribed. Obviously scaling happens as needed, but that's just from the ground, an explosive hip opening, punching it out overhead. Shouldn't really be pressing it overhead. It's just a punching it out, receiving it with locked elbows out overhead. And for most people, a shorter workout, let's say 5 minutes or less. And then the next day, Tuesday, we had that heavy day at a high heart rate, which was just a bear. Sets of 100 double unders in there. We had knees to elbows going 30, 24, and 18. We had back squats going 15, 12, 9 at 65% of your 1 rep max. That was just, again, a heavy day at a high heart rate. That was given to do not for time, if you so chose that option, and just a very taxing, demanding, longer time domain workout. I think that took me almost 20 minutes. And then yesterday's workout, which I missed, and I'll be making up as soon as this is over. I'm going to wander into my garage. Interval training, right? So we had 6 intervals, and depending upon how long each interval took you, each interval could take 2 to 3 minutes-ish, right? And you're getting built-in rest between each one of those. So you're going to get these 2 to 3 minute bursts of high-intensity work, but you're going to do it 6 times. So you're going to get anywhere from 12 minutes to 18 minutes-ish of total work done, but that total work is a very different sort of work than, for example, Tuesday's workout, the heavy day at a high heart rate. So some people may have done that in about 18 minutes, and if they did all the interval training on Wednesday, 6 times, 3 minutes each, that could be another 18 minutes of work. So it seems on the surface, those 2 days had the same amount of work being done. Tuesday was about 18 minutes, Wednesday was about 18 minutes, but that is absolutely not true, because that one on Tuesday was a long, slow grind of a continual 18 minutes, which by its very nature will be a lower intensity with wildly different movements than what we did on Wednesday, which could be an accumulated 18 minutes of work, but done in 6 3-minute burst efforts with built-in rest in between. So wildly different. And then, like I said, on Monday, we had the pull from the ground to a locked out position overhead. Tuesday, we had a very high priority of going below parallel, right? The back squats were a primary focus there. Midline work with the knees to elbows. And then we had double unders in there also. And then on Wednesday, we break in the interval training. We're on the bike, so we're not going below parallel. We're in the farmer's carry, not going below parallel, not pulling from the ground. We got dumbbell push press, not pulling from the ground, not going below parallel, and we're going overhead on Wednesday's workout with the dumbbell push press. So now we have, with variance, a different implement than we did with the barbell on Monday and Tuesday, and we have, we're going overhead in a different fashion than we did on Monday. So on Monday, you're receiving the barbell overhead, ideally with locked out elbows. There's not really a press involved with the snatch. There shouldn't be. Now on Wednesday, yeah, we're going overhead again, but now we're actually pressing, not receiving something overhead. So again, the days are laid out with all of those factors taken into account to have this beautiful symphony that I'm talking about, and this plays out day after day, week after week, month after month to give good, varied, well-rounded programming to the athlete, and then ideally the alleviation of soreness or stiffness would take place in that recovery and cool down at the end. So you tricked me into a long answer there. Well done. I hope that helped there. Let's see. Louis V. Where are you, my friend? Here we go. Great question from Louis. Luis, I'm going to go ahead and assume that I was saying your name correctly. Luis. As I'm sure you already know, Beyond the Whiteboard offers specialty programs focused on a variety of things. Here's the question. Is it good to add this specialty program on top of CrossFit Linchpin? I know the risk of overtraining is there, but the programs are very good and could be a complement to improve whatever deficiency one might have. et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, long story short, yes, the Beyond the Whiteboard specialty programs are incredible. I just saw my puppy come to the door. I just want to see if he's going to do anything crazy. Okay, he walked away. Beyond the Whiteboard, there's a reason that CrossFit Linchpin is hosted on Beyond the Whiteboard. I chose them because they are phenomenal. They are phenomenal. And that's not lip service. That's not propaganda. That's not whatever it is. They're actually phenomenal. And a lot of us are beta testing the new app. The new app is unlike anything out there. It is beautiful, simplistic to use, incredible, detailed. And their specialty programs are top-notch. So if you go to the homepage, if you open up your app, there will be a little tab that says Programs. So if you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about, you tap on that, and there are 16 different specialty programs that are all laid out. Most of them are like 8-week programs that are 3 times a week for you to improve or develop a certain area, and they're expertly laid out with rep ranges and movements and video demonstrations. It's insane. So I wrote down the 16 different programs because there's so many that have recently popped up that I lost track of them. Here's what's offered to you, by the way. These Beyond the Whiteboard specialty programs are just at your fingertips. First strict pull-up, first kipping pull-up, first kipping bar muscle up, first strict ring muscle up, first toes to bar, first push-up, first strict ring dip, first strict handstand push-up, handstand walk 5 feet, improve your 1 rep max clean, improve your 1 rep max jerk, your 1 rep max snatch. There's a deadlift capacity program, a shoulder press capacity program, a back squat capacity program, and a bench press capacity program. Chances are there's something in there which would appeal to you. And they've removed all the thought. You just click on it and you can add it in any way, shape, or form that you want to your training. And a lot of people from Linchpin have used them and they rave about them. And you can find a lot of the comments in our private Facebook group. And if you've got a question about one, just kind of post it as a question of the day. I'm sure some of the other members who have used those various specialty programs will let you know which one they use, how they worked it into their program, what their thoughts and experiences were. But overwhelmingly, 2 thumbs up. They're great. So I don't think you should be shy about adding one of those, whichever one would be most beneficial to you on top of what you're doing. And of course, with common sense, right? Because it is going to be some extra work, and just see how does your body respond and feel to that. But we've got accessory work that's programmed every day that's optional, as we all know. If you want to do this, and maybe you've been doing the accessory work, maybe in those days, don't do the accessory work and do, whatever particular specialty program it happens to be. But they're great. I give them 2 thumbs up, and they're tremendous. So yeah, I think you'd love them. Okay. Time for some Linchpin shout-outs. There's a fair amount today. So, these Ask Me Anythings eventually go onto the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel, and then I strip out the audio. They're made into podcasts. So, potentially if you're listening to this and you're listening to it as a podcast and you're just trying to get as much information as you can, you might tune out, because now all we're going to do is kind of community high fives. But I hope you stick around, because this isn't just lip service. This truly is some of these things that I'm going to mention. Linchpin, a very simplistic view of what CrossFit Linchpin is, would be, an affiliate that offers online programming and training plans, warm-ups, cool-downs, accessory work, etc. Yeah, that's true, but in my opinion, that's a very simplistic view of what we do. We are that, but more importantly, we're an actual community. Like, no kidding, global community. And I don't take those words lightly. And a lot of these interactions that I see take place just warm my heart and reinforce that. So we're going to celebrate some of them. So here we go. First of all, we're going to celebrate some physical achievements and then we'll get into some of the more heartwarming stuff, and I'll try not to shed a tear here. So here we go. First one that I called up is from Ken Trones. So Ken did the interval work that was programmed yesterday, and he beat his overall time from last time, okay, because this was a repeat. So he beat his overall time by over 1 minute total. Last time he used the 35-pound dumbbells. This time he used the 50-pound dumbbells. So a repeat workout comes up. He not only gets a faster time, but he gets a faster time by increasing the loading as well. So congratulations, Ken. That is not a small achievement. Crushed it. Deanne Walton. Deanne, we bragged on you the other day. We're going to brag on you again. Isabel came up, 30 snatches for time. She went ahead and PR'd by over 4 minutes. That's absolutely insane. Okay, there's one here that I've just tagged as nonsense. This is from Joe R. Joe says he's been doing CrossFit for 7 years, but somehow has never attacked Isabel. And there's a reason for that. He was told previously, wherever it was that he was working out, that if you couldn't expect to do Isabel in 3 minutes, you should just scale the weight. It's if you can't do it prescribed in 3 minutes, that you have 0 other options, have to scale it. And I guess to each their own, okay? But I would call that a little bit of nonsense. You know, when we put out the times for people to try to go after, I put up the more likely time of 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So putting that time up gave Joe the confidence to be like, you know what? Okay, it might take me a little bit longer, but I think I could maybe get it done in 5:30 at the prescribed weight. So I'm going to give it a shot. So we went ahead and knocked it out and did it in 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So that is absolutely fantastic. Congratulations, Joe. All right, this one I entitled Scaling is Cool. This is from Ariel P. Thank you, Coach, for making scaling cool. I did Isabel today with just the empty barbell. When I was going to a box, I would have just normally pushed it with 65 pounds. Even when I just starting to feel better, etc., etc. Long story short, love this programming and community, even though I don't post very often. So yes, scaling is cool, and we kind of had, this is a nice juxtaposition to the previous post from Joe, right? So Joe would have maybe scaled when he didn't have to, and now he attempted it RX, did it safely, did it well, and now Ariel would have potentially felt some pressure to go heavier than they should have, and they didn't. They went ahead and scaled because we've developed a great culture at Linchpin that scaling is not a bad word. Scaling is what intelligent creatures do, and it's fantastic. So that makes me very happy. Amanda McD, another Isabel story here. Old Isabel time, 6 minutes and 24 seconds. She went ahead and hung some Christmas lights for a warm-up, and then did Isabel in 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Absolutely demolished it. Okay, and here's one I've just entitled, quite simply, Lisa is a beast. And only in CrossFit can you refer to a woman as a beast and have it be completely understood as a compliment. Lisa Rolfe, absolute beast in the community. She did Isabel, didn't PR, but did great. 2 minutes and 42 seconds. That is just a fast Isabel. And what do we got here? Melanie Hodge, she crushed this. Okay, this is insane. We gotta get this right. Big accomplishment today, she says. First time doing Isabel at 65 pounds. So she previously did Isabel a few months ago, used 55 pounds, and with 55 pounds, she did Isabel in 4 minutes and 55 seconds, okay? 55 pounds, 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Now today, she bumps up the weight to 65 pounds, and she did it in 2 minutes and 1 second. 2 minutes and 1 second from her previous time of almost 5 minutes with less weight. So she bumps up the weight and just takes like almost 3 minutes off of her time. Absolutely destroyed that. Okay, two more physical stories, and we get the heartwarming stuff. Tony Clark, congratulations, did Isabel 3 minutes and 48 seconds, and that was a PR by 3 minutes and 59 seconds. So he took 3 minutes and 59 seconds off of his old time. People are just destroying this. Okay, Rebecca. Rebecca just decided for no reason, love this, to enter the Scottish Indoor Rowing Championships. Why not, right? Just see what happens. And she was hoping to get the 2K for sub 8, and she got sub 7:45 and took 5th place in her age category. How cool is that? All right, now here's the heartwarming stuff, and I will try to get through this without misting up legitimately. Russell Phillips, absolutely, not all heroes wear capes. This is great. So he posts this cute little photo of his little kid with a teddy bear, hugging a teddy bear, and here's what he says. Just finished today's workout. Started out with the timer running, but halfway through the second round of double unders, I got a volunteer to be in a teddy bear search party. A few years ago, I'd have told him to keep looking and that I would be happy to help after my workout. But after seeing everyone, including Coach, sharing about keeping priorities straight, I obliged and interrupted my workout for the search. The lost teddy bear was found. There were hugs and kisses given, and I continued my workout without the timer. Had a great cheering section, and guess what? Fitness was achieved. You can still get fit and keep your 4-year-old happy at the same time. How awesome is that? I don't even know what to say. That is everything. That is why we do what we do. That encapsulates everything that we're about here at Linchpin. Getting fit, having fun, but realizing where all of that fits into in the greater scheme in life with priorities. Just absolutely fantastic. And this one from Cameron. Cameron and his family are just angels. That's really all I can say. So they've got, from what I can tell here from the post, I'm going to read the whole post, but they already had a foster child and now just had 2 more come into their home, a 5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old girl. And they have their brother has been with them since birth, about 2.5 years ago, but all those kids have never met. So they've taken in 3 of these foster kids into their home and are just giving them a wonderful, happy environment to live in. And they posted about eating pizza and having laughs, and just, again, it's just fantastic. And then, finally, Greg B. We had a member he's in the hospital having double bypass surgery, and it's just one of those crazy, scary things. He's far too young. You just never know what's going to happen, or what's, I don't know. I can't speak on his family history and any of that stuff, but I feel confident saying that it was unexpected. So Greg underwent double bypass surgery. He's been posting like every day from his hospital bed, keeping the Linchpin community up to date on what's happening, and said double bypass surgery was a success. I've already been up and walking the hallways. The doctors and nurses were amazed and said I'm the strongest patient they've ever seen. Let the recovery begin. Greg, our thoughts and prayers are absolutely with you. I've got no doubt that you're going to recover and come back. Your attitude has been incredible. And watching the rest of the Linchpin community rally to his side, support him. They've already reached out and covered the next 1 year of his membership costs so that he can just recover and have fun. And things like this happen in a big family, right? And we get people from all over the world, all walks of life, all conditions of health, all age ranges, all types of family history, all types of whatever. And when things happen, families support one another. So Greg, we look forward to your continued posts. We look forward to tracking your recovery. And when you do feel up to it, you'd probably be an amazing individual for me to have a chat with and for us to post this chat, because it's incredible. So that's it. Have a great day, everybody. And we'll talk again soon.